Ambassador Junho Kim stood before the massive viewing window of the Galactic Council Station Omega-7. The station floated in neutral space, far from any planet or star system. Here, 47 different alien species came to talk instead of fight. The station was huge, bigger than most cities back on Earth. Its walls were made of a special metal that could stop almost any weapon. Junho looked out at the stars and took a deep breath. Today was the most important day of his life. After 3 years of small fights and battles along the border worlds, humanity finally had a chance for real peace. The Vorthak Empire had agreed to talk. They were big, mean creatures with thick gray skin and sharp teeth. For months, their ships had been attacking human colonies near the edge of known space. "Sir, they are ready for you," said So-Young Park. She was his assistant and also one of the smartest people he knew. So-Young had worked with him for 2 years. Her brother Dae-Jun was a captain in the human fleet, commanding a destroyer called Seoul's Vengeance. Both siblings were born on Earth in the old city of Seoul. Junho nodded and straightened his dark blue uniform. The uniform had small golden stars on the shoulders, showing he spoke for all of humanity. "How do I look, So-Young?" "Like someone who can bring peace to the galaxy," she said with a small smile. The big doors to the council chamber opened with a soft sound. Inside, the room was enormous. It had seats for representatives from all 47 species. Some aliens were tall and thin, others were short and wide. Some had fur, others had scales. Some breathed air like humans, others needed special masks. The Vorthak delegation sat on one side of the room. Their leader was a massive creature named Kazrak. He had scars all over his face from old battles. His yellow eyes watched Junho with hate. Next to Kazrak sat 3 other Vorthak generals. They all wore black armor covered in sharp spikes. On the other side sat the human delegation. There were only 5 humans, including Junho and So-Young. Humans were still new to the galaxy. Most aliens thought they were weak because they were small and had no natural weapons like claws or poison. In the center of the room stood a tall platform. This was where speakers would stand to address the council. Above the platform, cameras recorded everything. The broadcast would go to every world in the galaxy. "Representatives of the Galactic Council," announced the speaker, an old alien with blue skin and 4 arms. "Today we gather to end the conflict between the Terran Federation and the Vorthak Empire. Ambassador Junho Kim of Earth will speak first." Junho walked to the platform. His footsteps echoed in the quiet room. He could feel thousands of eyes watching him, not just in the chamber but across the galaxy. This moment would decide if humans lived in peace or died in war. "Honored representatives," Junho began, his voice calm and clear. 3 years ago, the first human ship reached the edge of Vorthak space. We came in peace, seeking trade and friendship. We offered knowledge, art, and technology. We asked for nothing but the chance to be neighbors. He paused and looked around the room. Some aliens nodded, others watched with cold expressions. "But peace is not weakness," Junho continued. "When Vorthak ships attacked our colony on New Busan, we defended ourselves. When they destroyed the research station at Kepler 442, we fought back. When they killed 3,000 innocent families on Harmony Base, we showed them that humans do not break easily." Kazrak growled low in his throat. His hand moved to the weapon on his belt, but Galactic Council rules said no violence was allowed in the chamber. "Today I offer peace one more time," Junho said. "Humanity wants to explore the stars, to learn and grow alongside our galactic neighbors. We do not want war. We want friendship. We want trade. We want to share the wonders of the universe, together." The chamber was very quiet. Even the smallest sounds seemed loud. Junho felt hope growing in his chest. Maybe, just maybe, this would work. "The Vorthak Empire is strong and proud," he said, looking directly at Kazrak. "Humans respect strength. We respect pride. But we also believe that true strength comes from building, not destroying. True pride comes from protecting the weak, not hunting them." So-Young watched from her seat, proud of her boss and friend. Captain Dae-Jun Park watched from his ship, many light years away. The broadcast reached his destroyer in real time through quantum communication. He sat on the bridge surrounded by his crew. They all listened carefully to every word. "My people have a saying," Junho continued. "The strongest tree is the one that bends in the storm but does not break. Humanity has bent, but we have not broken. We stand here today ready to grow alongside the Vorthak Empire and all species in this galaxy." He took a step forward, spreading his arms wide. "I ask you, representatives of 47 worlds, to witness this moment. Let this be the day that war ended and peace began. Let this be the day that—" The shot came from nowhere. A bright blue beam of energy hit Junho in the chest. The molecular disruptor weapon tore through his body at the smallest level, breaking apart the very atoms that made him human. He fell to his knees, his uniform burning. Screams filled the chamber. Aliens jumped from their seats. Security guards rushed toward the platform, but it was too late. Junho looked down at the hole in his chest. He could see through his own body. The weapon had created a perfect circle of nothing where his heart used to be. Blood spread across the white floor of the platform. "So young," he whispered, but his voice was too weak. She was already running toward him, tears streaming down her face. The assassin stepped out from behind a pillar. It was a Vorthak soldier, not part of the official delegation. He wore no uniform, just dark clothes. In his hands was a small but deadly disruptor rifle. "Death to human peace talkers," the assassin shouted in broken galactic common language. "Vorthak rule galaxy. Humans die." Security forces shot the assassin immediately. He fell dead next to the pillar, his weapon clattering across the floor. But the damage was done. Junho was dying. So Young reached him and held his head in her hands. Blood covered them both. The cameras kept recording, broadcasting his death to the entire galaxy. "Tell my people," Junho whispered, using his last breath. "Tell them humanity tried peace first." His eyes closed. Ambassador Junho Kim, the best diplomat humanity had ever produced, was dead. Chaos erupted in the chamber. The Vorthak delegation tried to claim they knew nothing about the assassin. Other aliens demanded answers. Some species began evacuating, their representatives fearing more violence. So Young knelt beside Junho's body, crying. She reached for her communication device with shaking hands. Someone had to tell Earth. Someone had to tell Admiral Minho Lee. Someone had to tell humanity that their greatest hope for peace was gone. On his destroyer, Captain Dae-Jun Park watched his sister cry over their friend's body. His hands, slowly, closed into fists. Around him, his crew stood in shocked silence. The quantum communication array on his ship was already receiving new orders from Earth Command. The message was short and terrible. "Peace talks have failed. Ambassador Kim is dead. All fleet commanders prepare for total war authorization. No limits, no mercy, no survivors." Dae-Jun looked at the message again, hardly believing the words. For 3 years, humanity had tried to solve problems with talking. They had bent like Junho's strong tree, hoping not to break. But now the tree had fallen, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what came after the storm. The news of Ambassador Junho Kim's death reached Earth in less than an hour. Admiral Minho Lee stood in the command center of Luna Base, the moon's largest military facility. Around him, hundreds of officers worked at their stations. Every screen showed the same terrible image, Junho falling to the platform with a hole through his chest. Minho was 60 years old and had served in the human fleet for 40 years. He had fought pirates in the asteroid belt and defended colonies from alien raiders, but he had never seen anything like this. No one had ever murdered a human diplomat during peace talks. "Sir," said Captain Young Mi-han, his aide, "all fleet commanders are requesting orders. Do we strike back at the Vorthak homeworld?" Minho was quiet for a long moment. He watched the recording of Junho's death again. The young diplomat had believed in peace so strongly. He had spent 3 years trying to end the fighting without more bloodshed. "No," Minho said finally. "We do not strike back. We do something much worse." He turned to address the entire command center. Every officer stopped working and looked at him. "Ladies and gentlemen, for 3 years we have played by galactic rules. We have fought with one hand tied behind our backs. We have shown mercy to our enemies and kindness to those who attack us. Today, those rules died with Ambassador Kim. Min-ho walked to the center of the room. His voice grew louder, carrying to every corner. Send this message to every human colony, every human ship, every human citizen in the galaxy. The peaceful time is over. Humanity goes to war without limits. On the agricultural world of New Jeju, farmers received the message while working in their fields. They put down their tools and walked to hidden bunkers beneath the corn. Inside those bunkers were weapons and armor. The farmers were not really farmers. They were soldiers who had been waiting for this day. Ji-won Choi commanded the New Jeju garrison. She was 35 years old and looked like a simple farm woman, but she had trained with Earth's special forces before coming to this world. When the war message arrived, she smiled for the first time in 3 years. Finally, she said, putting on her military uniform. I was getting tired of pretending to care about vegetables. All across the human colonies, the same thing happened. Shopkeepers became weapons specialists. Teachers became tactical officers. Even children knew their emergency roles. Every human settlement had been secretly preparing for total war. Dr. Haewon Choi worked in a research lab on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. For 5 years, other species had believed she studied plant genetics. They were wrong. She studied ways to destroy entire planets. When Admiral Min-ho's message reached her lab, she unlocked a vault that had been sealed since the first contact with aliens. Inside were blueprints for weapons that could crack planets in half, and machines that could eat stars. Computer, begin Project Doomsday, she said calmly. Authorization Haewon Choi, Director of Extinction Research. The computer's voice was cold and emotionless. Project Doomsday authorized. Estimated completion time for first planet killer weapon, 72 hours. But the most terrible surprise was waiting in the dead star systems at the edge of human space. Engineer Taiman Jang had spent 10 years building secret shipyards in places where no other species ever went. These dark, cold places hid the largest fleet ever created. Ghost Fleet Command, this is Taiman Jang, he said into his communication device. You are authorized to wake up. Across 12 dead systems, enormous ships began to turn on their engines. These were not exploration vessels or trade ships. They were built for one purpose: to destroy anything that threatened humanity. Each Ghost Fleet ship was run by advanced computers. They needed no human crew. They felt no fear and showed no mercy. Their black hulls were almost invisible against the darkness of space. General Kyung-min Yoon commanded the human marine forces. She had been waiting on Mars for 3 years, training soldiers for a war everyone hoped would never come. When the news of Junho's death arrived, she was not surprised, she was relieved. Marines, she called to the 10,000 soldiers under her command. Remember your training. Remember what we practiced. The gloves are off. The galaxy wants to see what humans can do in a real war. Let's show them. The Marines cheered so loudly it shook the walls of the underground base. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Dae-jun Park received his new orders. His destroyer Soul's Vengeance was the first ship to respond to the war authorization. But Dae-jun did not attack the nearest Vorthak world. Instead, he went to the Galactic Council station. His sister So-young was still there, still holding Junho's cold body. The other aliens were arguing about what to do next. Some wanted to punish the Vorthak. Others wanted to pretend the assassination never happened. When Dae-jun's ship appeared outside the station, everyone became quiet. This is Captain Dae-jun Park of the Terran Federation. His voice came through every speaker on the station. I am here to collect my sister and the body of our diplomat. You had one job, keep him safe during peace talks. You failed. The Crystalline Confederation's representative tried to respond. Captain Park, we deeply regret this terrible accident. Perhaps we can... Accident? Dae-jun's voice was ice cold. A Vorthak assassin murdered our ambassador during peace talks. And you call it an accident? His ship's weapons powered up. The energy readings made every alien on the station very nervous. Here are humanity's new rules, Dae-jun continued. Rule 1. Ambassador Kim was the last human who believed in galactic law. Rule 2. From now on, humans make their own laws. Rule 3. Anyone who helped kill our diplomat will pay the price. So Young heard her brother's voice and felt pride mixed with her sadness. She gently closed Junho's eyes and stood up. Blood on her hands had dried, but she did not wash it off. She wanted to remember this moment forever. Meanwhile, Intelligence Officer Young-Soo Lim was very busy on Earth. For 15 years, he had been in charge of human spies across the galaxy. Other species thought humans were new and innocent. They had no idea that human agents had been watching everything. "Begin Operation Revelation," Young-Soo said to his team. "Every alien military base, every government building, every secret weapon facility. Our people have been taking pictures and making maps for years. Now we use everything." His spies sent information about alien weaknesses, secret weapons, and hidden bases. They revealed which species had helped the Vorthak and which had simply looked the other way when humans were attacked. In the Vorthak Empire, scientist Wu Jin Nam prepared humanity's most terrible weapon. He had been studying Vorthak biology for 2 years, pretending to work on medical research. In reality, he was creating nanobots that could take apart Vorthak ships and bodies at the smallest level. "Release the swarm," he whispered, opening a small container. Billions of tiny machines, too small to see, began spreading through space toward the Vorthak fleet. Admiral Minho Lee watched all of this from his command center. Reports came in from every human world. The peaceful farmers, traders, and scientists were revealing their true nature. Humanity was not a weak species that needed protection. They were predators who had been pretending to be prey. "Sir," Captain Young Mihan said, "the Galactic Council is asking for an emergency meeting. They want to discuss a ceasefire." Minho laughed, but there was no happiness in the sound. "Tell them that ceasefires are for people who want to stop fighting. We are just getting started." He looked at the picture of Junho on his desk. The young diplomat was smiling in the photo, full of hope for peace between the species. "You tried to save them, my friend," Minho said quietly. "You tried to show them that humans could be peaceful neighbors. They chose to respond with murder. Now they will learn what humans are really like when we stop being nice." The first Vorthak ships began to disappear as Wu Jin's nanobots reached them. One moment they were there, the next moment they were nothing but empty space and floating. Debris on New Jeju, Ji-Wan Choi led her fake farmers in their first real battle. The Vorthak had sent ships to attack the agricultural world, thinking it would be easy to conquer. They found themselves fighting soldiers who knew every field and hill. "Welcome to New Jeju," Ji-Wan said over the radio as her people destroyed the alien ships. "We grow more than just food here, we grow death." The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's 3 years of peaceful behavior had been a choice, not a weakness. Ambassador Junho Kim had been their last chance for a gentle solution. Now they would get the other kind. 3 weeks after Ambassador Junho Kim's death, the galaxy began to understand what humanity really was. Fleet Admiral Sujin Kang stood on the bridge of the massive battleship Incheon's Hammer, leading the largest human fleet ever assembled toward the Vorthak homeworld. The fleet was enormous. 500 warships moved through space like a metal storm. But these were not the small patrol ships that had been fighting border skirmishes. These were the real human war machines, built in secret shipyards and hidden for years. "Admiral," said Commander Hyojin Park, "long-range sensors show the Vorthak home fleet moving to intercept us. They have about 200 ships." Sujin smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "Only 200? I thought they wanted to put up a real fight." Behind the human fleet came something even more frightening. The ghost fleet ships that engineer Taemin Jang had awakened. These black vessels had no crews, only advanced computers that thought faster than any living mind. They followed the Kyu main fleet like metal sharks following blood in the water. On the Vorthak homeworld, Kazrak paced back and forth in his command center. The same alien who had sat in the Galactic Council chamber now looked scared and angry. His yellow eyes kept checking the displays that showed the human fleet getting closer. "How many humans are there?" He growled at his officers. "Our intelligence said they only had 50 warships." "Sir," said one of his generals, Our spies may have been wrong. Kazrak grabbed the general by the throat. Wrong? We are about to fight 500 enemy ships, and you tell me our spies were wrong? What Kazrak did not know was that many of his spies were actually working for intelligence officer Young-Soo Lim. For years, humans had been feeding false information to the Vorthak, making them think humanity was much weaker than it really was. Meanwhile, other alien species were discovering the same terrible truth. The peaceful human traders who had visited their worlds were not just buying and selling goods. They were studying alien military bases, government buildings, and weapon factories. On the water world of Aquatica, the Crystalline Confederation kept their main fleet hidden under the ocean. They thought no human knew about it. They were wrong. Commander Jerkio led a small human task force to Aquatica. Her ships were much smaller than the crystalline vessels, but they carried weapons the aliens had never seen before. Target the underwater base, Chihai said calmly. Use the deep strike missiles. The missiles dove into the ocean like metal dolphins. They found the hidden fleet and exploded with the power of small stars. The entire ocean floor shook. When the water cleared, there was nothing left but a crater where the crystalline fleet used to be. This is Commander O of the Terran Federation, she broadcast to the planet below. Your fleet is gone. Your choice is simple. Surrender now, or we will remove your cities next. The Crystalline Confederation surrendered in less than an hour. But humanity was not just using military force. They were also using information as a weapon. Intelligence officer Young-Soo Lim released recordings and documents that showed which alien species had secretly helped the Vorthak Empire. The ethereal collective, who claimed to be wise and peaceful, had been selling weapons to the Vorthak. For 2 years, the insectoid hive, who pretended to be neutral, had given the Vorthak maps of human colony locations. Look at this, Young-Soo said to Admiral Min-Ho Lee, showing him a datapad. The Feathered Republic knew about the assassination, planned 3 days before it happened. They could have warned us. Instead, they did nothing. Min-Ho's face became very dark. Add them to the target list. Dr. Haewon Choi had finished building her first planet-killer weapon. It was not a bomb or a missile. It was a machine that could make a star burn much hotter and faster. In just a few hours, it could turn a normal star into a supernova that would destroy everything in the star system. Sir, she reported to Admiral Min-Ho Lee, the stellar accelerator is ready for testing. We just need a target. Use it on the Vorthak military base in the Kepler-438 system, Min-Ho said without hesitation. Let the galaxy see what happens to those who murder our diplomats. The weapon fired invisible beams at the star in the Kepler-438 system. The star began to burn, brighter and hotter. The Vorthak base tried to evacuate, but they were too slow. When the star exploded, it wiped out everything within 50 light-years. The explosion was so bright that aliens on planets hundreds of light-years away could see it with their naked eyes. On Earth, President Bo-Ra Kim called an emergency meeting of the human government. She was not related to the dead ambassador, but she felt responsible for his death. My fellow humans, she said to the assembled leaders, we stand at a crossroads. We can continue this war until every enemy is destroyed, or we can stop when they surrender completely. What is your decision? The vote was unanimous. Total victory. No exceptions. Captain Daijun Park had taken his sister So Young back to Earth after collecting Junho's body, but they did not stay long. So Young requested transfer to military intelligence, and her brother took command of a much larger ship, the battlecruiser Busan's Revenge. Sister, Daejun said as they prepared to leave Earth again, are you sure you want to do this? Intelligence work can be very dark. So Young looked at him with cold eyes. They killed Junho while I watched. I want to find everyone who helped. Make that happen. I want to make them pay. She had changed since the assassination. The kind, gentle assistant who had worked with the ambassador was gone. In her place was someone harder, someone who understood that the galaxy only respected strength. Director Young-Soo Lim welcomed So Young to his intelligence team. Miss Park, your first assignment is to find out which Galactic Council members knew about the assassination plan. We have reason to believe at least 12 species had advance warning. So, Young smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. I will find them all. The war was spreading beyond the Vorthak Empire. Human fleets attacked every species that had helped their enemies or failed to protect their diplomat. The galaxy had 47 member species when the war started. After 1 month of fighting, 6 of those species no longer existed. Scientist. Wu Jin Nam's nanobots had improved since their first use. Now they could not only destroy ships and weapons, but also disable entire planets. The tiny machines would spread through alien cities, shutting down all technology. Lights went out, computers stopped working, even simple tools fell apart. It's like magic, said one captured alien prisoner. One day our civilization was normal. The next day nothing worked anymore. General Kyung-min Yoon led her Marines in ground battles across a dozen worlds, but these were not normal conquests. The humans did not want to rule alien planets. They wanted to send a message. We are not here to build an empire, she told her soldiers before each battle. We are here to teach the galaxy a lesson. The lesson is simple: do not threaten humanity. After defeating the defenders, the Marines would leave the planets almost immediately. But they would take something important with them. All the weapons, all the military technology, and all the government leaders who had supported the Vorthak. The aliens who remained were left with a choice: rebuild their civilization without military force or face total destruction. Fleet Admiral Su Jin Kang finally reached the Vorthak homeworld. The enemy fleet tried to stop her, but it was hopeless. Human weapons were too advanced, human tactics were too clever, and human soldiers were too angry. This is Admiral Kang to all Vorthak forces, she broadcast as the last enemy. Ships exploded around her. Your fleet is destroyed. Your military bases are gone. Your allies have abandoned you. Surrender now, or we will demonstrate what happens to species that murder human diplomats. The Vorthak government tried to negotiate. They offered money, territory, even tribute payments. Admiral Su Jin Kang listened to their proposals, then gave her response. You had your chance to negotiate. Ambassador Kim came to you in peace, offering friendship and trade. You murdered him in front of the entire galaxy. There will be no negotiations. There will be no mercy. There will be only justice. The human fleet began bombing the Vorthak homeworld, but they were very careful about their targets. They destroyed only military bases, weapon factories, and government buildings. They did not attack civilians or cities. We are not monsters, Admiral Su Jin Kang explained to her officers. We are teachers. The lesson is that actions have consequences. On the Galactic Council Station, the remaining alien representatives watched the war with growing fear. They sent message after message to the human government begging for peace talks. Ambassador Yoon Jung-song, who had replaced Jun-ho Kim, finally responded to their requests. Honored representatives, she said coldly. Ambassador Kim offered peace. You watched him die and did nothing to stop it. Some of you even helped plan his death. Peace was your choice 3 weeks ago. War is your reality now. The aliens tried to explain that they were not all guilty. Some had truly wanted peace. Some had tried to help. Perhaps, Ambassador Yoon Jung-song replied. But you all failed to protect our diplomat. In human culture, there are consequences for failure. You are learning about consequences now. As the Vorthak homeworld burned, other alien species began to panic. If humanity could destroy the mighty Vorthak Empire in just 1 month, what could they do to smaller, weaker civilizations? The Vorthak Empire fell on the 17th day of the human assault. General Myung-hee Bae stood in the ruins of their capital city, watching Vorthak soldiers surrender by the thousands. The once proud warriors who had terrorized the galaxy for decades now knelt before human marines begging for mercy. This is General Bae to all human forces, she said into her radio. The Vorthak homeworld is secured. Begin Phase 2 operations immediately. Phase 2 was not about conquering territory. It was about justice. Every Vorthak leader who had supported the assassination of Ambassador Jun-ho Kim would face trial. But this would not be a gentle trial with lawyers and long speeches. This would be military justice, swift and final. Kazrak, the Vorthak general, who had sat in the Galactic Council chamber, was captured hiding in an underground bunker. When the human soldiers found him, he was no longer the proud warrior who had watched Junho die. He was a broken creature, shaking with fear. "Please," he begged in broken human language. "I did not know about Assassin. I did not plan murder." "Captain." Daejun Park looked down at the alien with cold eyes. "Maybe you didn't plan it, but you smiled when it happened. I saw you smile when our ambassador fell." The trial of Vorthak war criminals began immediately. Judge Advocate General Chang-Woo Park had been a lawyer before the war. Now he was something much more dangerous. A human who understood both justice and revenge. "The charge is simple," he announced to the captured Vorthak leaders. "You participated in or supported the murder of a diplomat during peace talks. This is not just a crime against humanity. It is a crime against civilization itself." The Vorthak tried to defend themselves. They claimed they were just following orders. They said they were protecting their species. They argued that humans were invaders who deserved to die. Judge Chang-Woo Park listened to every excuse. Then he delivered his verdict. "Guilty. The sentence is execution for all leaders, exile for all supporters, and total military disarmament for your entire species." But humanity's justice was not just about punishment. It was also about education. Governor In-Soo Cho arrived on the Vorthak homeworld with 1,000 human administrators. Their job was to rebuild Vorthak civilization without the violence that had defined it for centuries. "You will learn new ways," Governor In-Soo Cho told the surviving Vorthak civilians. "You will learn that strength comes from building, not destroying. You will learn that honor comes from protecting the weak, not hunting them." The humans did something that surprised every alien in the galaxy. Instead of looting the conquered, Vorthak worlds, they made them better. Human engineers repaired damaged cities. Human doctors treated wounded aliens. Human teachers began educating Vorthak children about peace instead of war. Within weeks, the Vorthak people were living better lives than they had ever known under their own government. This created a new problem for humanity's remaining enemies. How could they fight against conquerors who made life better for the conquered? Admiral Yuna Kwan led the human fleet toward the Ethereal Collective's home systems. The Ethereals were the oldest and most powerful civilization in the galaxy. They had ruled the galactic core for 10,000 years. Their technology was so advanced that other species worshipped them like gods. But intelligence officer Young-Soo Lim had discovered the truth about the Ethereals. They had not only sold weapons to the Vorthak, they had also provided the molecular disruptor that killed Ambassador Junho Kim. "This is Admiral Kwan to the Ethereal High Council," she broadcast as her fleet approached their capital world. "You have been judged guilty of participating in the murder of our diplomat. Prepare to face the consequences." The ethereal response came in a voice that sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Young humans, you do not understand what you are doing. We have existed for 10 millennia. We have seen species rise and fall. You are making a terrible mistake." Admiral Yuna Kwan's reply was much less poetic. "Ambassador Kim existed for 38 years. You helped cut his life short. Now you will learn what humans do to those who hurt our people." The battle for the ethereal capital was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Ethereals used weapons that could stop time, create black holes, and turn matter into pure energy. Their defenses were powered by the energy of stars. But the humans had studied ethereal technology for years. Dr. Haewon Choi had designed specific weapons to fight against time manipulation and energy shields. When the Ethereals tried to freeze human ships in time, the humans simply reversed the effect and froze the ethereal fleet instead. "Impossible," whispered the ethereal supreme leader as her ancient warships crumbled under human fire. "Our technology is beyond your understanding." "Your technology is very impressive," Admiral Yuna Kwan replied. "But you made one mistake. You thought we were too primitive to figure it out. Humans are very good at learning from their enemies." The fall of the ethereal collective sent shockwaves across the galaxy. If humanity could defeat the most advanced civilization in known space, no one was safe. Species after species began sending surrender messages to Earth. They offered tribute, territory, technology, anything humans might want. They begged for mercy and promised never to threaten humanity again. Supreme Chancellor Dong Hyun-shin had been elected as humanity's wartime leader after the assassination. He was a former general who understood both war and politics. He read each surrender offer carefully, then made his decision. "Surrender is not enough," he announced to the Galactic Council. "You had 3 years to choose peace. Ambassador Kim gave you countless opportunities to live in harmony with humanity. You chose violence instead." His voice carried across the galaxy through quantum communication arrays. "Now you will live under human law. You will accept human oversight of your military forces. You will pay reparations for the life of our murdered Diplomat. And you will never again threaten human citizens anywhere in the galaxy." Some species tried to resist these demands. The insectoid hive thought their vast numbers would protect them. They had billions of soldiers spread across hundreds of worlds. Commander Ji-Hai-Oh proved them wrong. Her small fleet used scientist Wu Jin-Nam's improved nanobots to shut down all technology in the hive's space. Without computers, communications, or weapons, the insectoid billions were helpless. "Numbers mean nothing without organization," Commander Ji-Hai-Oh explained as she accepted the hive's surrender. "Organization means nothing without technology. Technology means nothing when humans control it." So Young Park had been very busy in her new role with intelligence. She had identified every alien who had known about the assassination plot in advance. The list was much longer than anyone expected. 12 species knew, she reported to Admiral Min-Ho Lee. 12 different civilizations received advance warning that our ambassador would be murdered. None of them told us. None of them tried to stop it. Admiral Min-Ho Lee looked at the list with disgust. 12 species chose to let our diplomat die rather than risk angering the Vorthak. What do you recommend? So Young Park's smile was cold as winter. Complete regime change for all 12 species. New governments, new leaders, new laws, and human supervisors to make sure they never make such a choice again. The war crimes trials continued across the galaxy. Judge Advocate General Chang Wu Park traveled from world to world, holding court in the ruins of alien military bases. His justice was swift but fair. Those who had directly supported the assassination faced execution. Those who had simply stayed silent faced imprisonment and re-education. But the most effective weapon humanity used was not military force or superior technology. It was the example they set on conquered worlds. Governor In-Soo Cho's administration of former Vorthak territory became a model for the entire galaxy. Crime rates dropped to almost zero. Economic productivity increased by 300%. Infant mortality fell to the lowest levels in recorded history. "How is this possible?" asked a captured crystalline Confederation admiral. "You destroyed our fleet and occupied our worlds. Why are our people happier now than they were before?" Governor In-Soo Cho explained patiently. "Because we govern for the benefit of the governed, not for the benefit of the governors. Your old leaders used you as tools for their own power. We use our power as tools for your benefit." This created a strange situation. Across the galaxy, ordinary citizens began hoping that humans would conquer their worlds too. They saw their neighbors living better lives under human rule, and wanted the same for themselves. Some alien governments tried to prevent this by cutting off communication with human-occupied territories. This only made their people more curious about what they were missing. Rebellions began on dozens of worlds. Alien civilians rose up against their own governments, demanding to surrender to humanity. The rebels carried human flags and sang human songs translated into their own languages. Admiral Min-Ho Lee watched these developments from his command center on Luna Base. The war was going better than anyone had hoped, but he felt no satisfaction, only sadness. "Sir," asked Captain Young Mi-han, "why do you look so troubled? We're winning." Admiral Min-Ho Lee looked at the picture of Jun-Ho Kim on his desk. "Because this is not what he wanted. He wanted peace through understanding, not submission through force. But sir, we tried his way first. They chose violence." "Yes," Admiral Min-Ho Lee said quietly. 6 months after Ambassador Junho Kim's assassination, President Bo-ra Kim stood before the new Galactic Council. The meeting was held on Earth, in a magnificent building constructed on the exact spot where Junho had been born. The symbolism was not lost on anyone present. The new council chamber was much different from the old one. Human flags hung alongside the banners of 41 surviving alien species. 6 species had been completely destroyed during the war, their civilizations deemed too dangerous to continue existing. The remaining species sat in assigned seats with human supervisors standing behind each delegation. Representatives of the galaxy, President Bo-ra Kim began, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber and every world in known space. We gather today to formalize the end of the war and the beginning of a new age. In the front row sat the former enemies who had learned to accept human leadership. Kazrak was gone, executed for his crimes, but other Vorthak leaders had emerged who understood that cooperation was their species' only hope for survival. Behind the alien delegations stood the humans who now controlled galactic affairs. Admiral Minho Lee wore his full-dress uniform, his chest covered with medals earned during the brief but decisive war. Director So-young Park supervised the intelligence operations that kept the new order functioning. General Myung-hee Bae commanded the peacekeeping forces that prevented any species from returning to their old violent ways. 6 months ago, President Bo-ra Kim continued, humanity offered peace to the galaxy. We sent our best diplomat to negotiate an end to unnecessary conflicts. You responded by murdering him in front of the entire civilized universe. The alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Many of them were new leaders, chosen by their people after their old governments fell to human forces. Ambassador Junho Kim believed that different species could live together in harmony. He thought that understanding and cooperation could replace fear and violence. He died believing that peace was possible. President Bo-ra Kim paused, looking at each alien delegation in turn. Today we will prove that Ambassador Kim was right. Peace is possible, but peace requires strength to maintain it, wisdom to guide it, and the will to enforce it when necessary. She gestured to a massive holographic display that showed the galaxy as it existed now. Green areas showed human-controlled space. Blue areas showed allied species that had voluntarily joined the new order. Yellow areas marked neutral zones where former enemies lived under human supervision. The Terran Federation now controls 53% of known space. Our allies control another 32%. The remaining 15% is administered by this council under human oversight. Director Young-soo Lim had done his work well. Human intelligence networks now reached every corner of the galaxy. No species could plan military action without humans knowing about it immediately. No government could oppress its people without facing human intervention. But control is not our goal, President Bo-ra Kim said. Our goal is the same as Ambassador Kim's was: peace, prosperity, and cooperation between all species. She touched a control, and the holographic display changed to show economic data. Trade between species had increased by 400% since the war ended. Poverty on most worlds had dropped to the lowest levels in recorded history. Scientific research had accelerated as species shared knowledge under human coordination. The difference is that now we have the power to make that dream real. In the audience, Captain Dae-jun Park watched the ceremony with mixed feelings. His sister So-young had found her calling in intelligence work, but he sometimes worried that the kind woman who had served as Junho's assistant was gone forever, replaced by someone harder and colder. As if reading his thoughts, So-young turned and gave him a small smile. The old warmth was still there, hidden beneath the professional exterior she wore for her dangerous work. Admiral Yuna Kwan commanded the Home Fleet, the most powerful military force in galactic history. But these ships were not used for conquest anymore. They served as peacekeepers responding to conflicts before they could grow into wars. The galaxy now operates under what we call the Kim Doctrine, President Bo-ra Kim announced. Named after our murdered ambassador, it establishes 3 fundamental principles. She raised one finger. First, no species may maintain military forces capable of threatening other species. All weapons of mass destruction have been confiscated and destroyed. This had been the most difficult part of the new order to enforce. Many species had hidden weapons in secret locations, thinking they could rebuild their military power when humans were not watching. They learned quickly that human surveillance was everywhere and human retaliation was swift. Second, all conflicts between species must be resolved through this council, with human arbitrators ensuring fair treatment for all parties. She raised a third finger. Third, any attack on diplomatic personnel from any species will result in immediate and total human military response. The alien representatives nodded their understanding. They had all seen what happened to species that challenged human authority. Ambassador Eun Song, who had replaced Jun Ho as humanity's chief diplomat, rose from her seat. She was a very different person from her predecessor. Where Jun Ho had been gentle and optimistic, Yoon was firm and realistic. "I want to be very clear about humanity's position," she said, addressing the alien delegations directly. "We did not want to rule the galaxy. We wanted to explore it, learn from it, and contribute to it." Her voice grew harder. "You forced us to become rulers by murdering the man who would have been your greatest ally. Ambassador Kim spent 3 years trying to build bridges between our species. In 3 minutes, you destroyed all of his work and guaranteed that humanity would never again trust galactic civilization to police itself." She gestured to the memorial wall behind the council platform. It showed pictures of every human who had died in alien attacks over the past 3 years, with Jun Ho's portrait in the center. "These people died because you chose violence over diplomacy. Their deaths purchased your submission. Remember that price every time you consider challenging human authority." But the new galactic order was not built only on fear. Governor In-Su Cho had proven that human rule could benefit conquered populations. The former Vorthak territories were now the most prosperous region in their part of the galaxy. Human administration has reduced crime by 92%, reported Economic Coordinator Jae Sun-yu. Unemployment has dropped to less than 1%. Education levels have increased dramatically. Life expectancy has improved by an average of 30% across all former enemy territories. This success had convinced many neutral species to voluntarily request human oversight. They saw their neighbors prospering under human guidance and wanted the same benefits for their own people. Supreme Chancellor Dong Hyun-shin stood to deliver the final part of the ceremony. As humanity's wartime leader, he had overseen the transformation from peaceful exploration to galactic domination. "Today marks the official end of the human galactic war," he announced. "But it also marks the beginning of something Ambassador Kim dreamed of, a truly peaceful galaxy where all species can thrive." He looked directly at the alien delegations. "You will notice that humans have not enslaved you, despite having the power to do so. We have not looted your worlds or stolen your resources. We have not committed genocide against your people, even those who committed genocide against ours." This was true. Human forces had been remarkably restrained during the war, targeting only military assets and government facilities. Civilian casualties had been kept to an absolute minimum. We have done this because Ambassador Kim's dream still guides us. He wanted a galaxy where every species could reach its full potential. Under human leadership, that dream will become reality. The ceremony concluded with the dedication of the Jun Ho Kim Memorial Academy. This massive complex would train diplomats from every species in the galaxy. But unlike the old diplomatic schools, this one would also include mandatory courses in human military history. Elder statesman Hyun-woo Song, now 93 years old and humanity's most experienced diplomat, delivered the dedication speech. "Young beings who study here will learn 2 important lessons," he said, his voice still strong despite his age. "First, they will learn that diplomacy is the highest calling of civilization. It is the art of solving problems with words instead of weapons." He paused, looking at the memorial statue of Jun Ho that dominated the Academy's entrance hall. "Second, they will learn what happens when diplomacy fails. They will study the human galactic war in detail. They will see what humans are capable of when their peaceful nature is rejected." The inscription on the statue's base had been chosen carefully. Ambassador Jun Ho Kim, 23872425. He offered the galaxy peace. The galaxy chose war. Humanity chose victory. As the ceremony ended, and the alien delegations prepared to return to their worlds, Admiral Minho Lee walked alone to the memorial wall. He stood before Junho's portrait for a long time, remembering the young man who had believed so strongly in the possibility of peace. "We did it, my friend," he whispered. "Not the way you wanted, but we did it. The galaxy is at peace." Behind him, Captain Young Mi Han approached quietly.